So finally, this week brought news of a horrific murder in Oklahoma. 30-year-old Alton Nolen attacked a co-worker, Colleen Hufford, beheading her. Now, while there's no indication that Nolen was acting on behalf of Islamic terrorists, he is a recent convert to Islam, and there is evidence of radicalism in his profile. So, Mr. Gregory Clay, is this a simple incident of workplace violence, or should we be worried about larger trends?
You should be worried about larger trends, because Mr. Nolen is a terrorist. I'm sorry. The police force in Oklahoma can call it workplace violence. The Obama administration can call it workplace violence. Just like they called the situation in Fort Hood a few years ago workplace violence. I'm sorry. That's not workplace violence. The cat in Oklahoma, he was putting Islamic stuff on his Facebook page and, going to his office and trying to convert people to Islam and all this and touting terrorist type sayings and talking Arabic and all this kind of stuff. It's obvious this guy was a terrorist. He beheads an American here on American soil, was trying to behead another woman before the CEO shot him, which is another reason for the amendment for the right to bear arms is a good one right now. I used to be for gun control. I'm not anymore. When this thing went down, this clown in Oklahoma trying to behead people and everything, if the CEO didn't have a gun, could you imagine how many people he would have beheaded? Thank God the guy had a gun and was a reserve deputy sheriff or whatever. He would have run roughshod in that office before the real police came. And President Obama is so scared to use the word terrorism, terrorists, Mr. Bronner, war. His people I noticed call it what? A military operation. Can't say war, Mr. Bronner. You call it military operation. And it's. I think.
You know why they can't say that?
I think the American people are seeing through this. And this guy is going to encourage other people, other misfits and disgruntled employees, etc., to try to behead people. Because he won't be the last. He won't be the last American to behead someone in this country.
Look, I think
it's.
I think it's very easy to overtalk this story, right? I think from what I see, and obviously the information, at least to me, seems to be thin on the ground at the moment, is that this is a murder and not an act of terrorism yet. I haven't seen the evidence of it being. I don't think the people were targeted for their religious or political beliefs yet. this might all come out. But what I will say is there was a definite case of Islamic radical beheading in London where a British soldier was decapitated on the streets of London. And it did not inspire a string of beheadings in Britain. Despite the fact that there is a large Muslim population in Britain, and there are certainly problems with radicalization in Britain, I think an incidence of one is not a trend, and especially in this instance where at least from the facts I've seen, it's not immediately clear what the motivation was or what his beliefs were. He was a recent convert, and I've heard he also wasn't. I'm not sure, but regardless, I don't think one attack is a trend.
There will be more.
Well, the question about this instance, I did not think was whether it's a trend or not. It's whether this one instance, what was it? And dismissing it as workplace violence, and you're right, we don't know 100% yet.
Right.
But what is a trend in this country is to instantly dismiss anything that might be linked to Islam as, by definition, not being linked to Islam. Right. So, there's a Muslim, he has radical Islamic messages on his Facebook and so on, and he beheads a person, a classic jihadist way of killing people.
Right.
Dismissing that out of hand as workplace violence is, to me, ridiculous. As if a white person, let me just give this one analogy, if a white person who is known to have ties to the KKK kills a black coworker and burns a cross in his cubicle, and people dismiss it as workplace violence instead of saying, was this a hate crime?
Exactly. That's a great analogy. That's a great analogy. And we've already seen the trend. We've already seen the trend. Because remember, the other cat in Oklahoma City, They arrested him before he had a chance to behead anyone. You know, the second guy. You remember the guy who said, told his co-worker, "I'm going to behead you," and then when he was arrested, he said, "Oh, I was just joking." Yeah, right.
I don't see the broader
come on.
significance in
You
this
are going to
either.
be in a workplace and you tell your coworker, "I'm going to behead you because I disagree with you,"
I hasten
and
to-
you're going to write that off as a joke,
Look.
especially in these times.
So
Times of
Miss
ISIS, etc.,
Exactly.
etc.
You can't
I mean,
see
come
it in a
on. We've
vacuum.
already seen
You
the
have to see the
trend.
times we live
The
in.
trend is there already.
No.
Yes.
Look, I'm open to the possibility that this was a radicalized Muslim who carried out the attack based on religious conviction. I don't, but I mean, this whole conversation was prompted by a statement that the facts are unclear, right? I think that's worth keeping, and I'm totally open to the possibility that this was, but even if it was, right, which is yet to be confirmed, that it is not indicative of a trend, right? And also, I'd be very interested to hear what evidence there. You think there will be more? I mean,
Yeah.
but I
Almost
like I
had a
said,
second incident.
earlier I cited an instance where someone was definitely beheaded by radical Muslims, and it did not start a trend.
Yeah, I don't see the broader trend in this either. But what you said about terrorism interests me, Greg.
Here we go. Brana.
That the Obama administration hasn't been willing to use terrorism.
Ah.
I mean, I find that kind of ridiculous.
You
I
He
mean,
won't say the
Even
word
he
Islam.
admits that.
over-
Can you
he's
believe
been
it?
all over
Even
it.
he admits that.
No,
No,
Gregory,
he's
no,
countering
I'm
you.
disagreeing with you.
He's
Gregory.
disagreeing with you.
He's used terrorism as a pretext
But
for
it's the
everything.
word Islamic and jihad that he will not use.